Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a City Council study session. This is for the purpose of interviewing for council replacement. Treasurer Hicks Clayton is now in her new position and council is short one person. So today we will begin the interviews. We will go in alphabetical order. Each council member will have up to 2 questions that they can ask. And I've also asked council members that they get 2 backup questions in case another council member asks the same question, because we don't compare ahead of time. So we have no idea what they're going to ask. And in the past, we have repeated the same question with 2 council members. We will begin with Zuhair Abdul Haq. You have 5 minutes to tell us about yourself, and then we will ask questions. We need to get Mr. Abdul Haq unmuted. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Abdul Haq.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys doing well.
Okay, go ahead, please. You're up.
Okay. My name is Zuhair Abdul Haq. I reside on 354 Rosemary since 1992. I'm resident and registered voter in the city of Dearborn Heights for the last 28 years. I have been involved in the city affairs, city council, schools, nonprofit organizations, political organizations, and I consider the city of Dearborn Heights as my home. That's where I lived for the last 28 years, where my children, my brothers and sisters live. So it is our home. And we are very proud when we go outside of the United States or outside of the state and we are asked, where you live, we proudly say the city with a future, Dearborn Heights. We going through very, very bad time, the whole world, not just Dearborn Heights or Michigan or the United States. Coronavirus devastated the economy, devastated families, devastated cities, and lots of bad things happened because of Corona. People are depressed. Our seniors have nothing to do. Our youth, they don't have the facilities basically to play and to do things and activities. And that brings me that when I am on the city council, if you give me that privilege and that honor, that I want to work with the city council to have new visions for the city. This city logo is called City with a Future. So we have to work together really to build the future of our city. We build the future by creating businesses, inviting businesses, inviting people to come and buy homes, and invite seniors to come and retire in our city, because we offer better parks, better facilities, better things, lower taxes, lower water rates, and that will attract people. And this can be done with the city council working in coherence with the administration to basically plan for the future of our city. With my education background, with my experience, which I have served on the zoning board for 5 years at the request and recommendation of our mayor. And I served as chairman of the Housing Commission. And I was very honored when you gave me the Treasury office and you selected me to run it for 5 months. My 5 months at the Treasury have opened my eyes on lots of things going on in the city. It opened my eyes on how government run, how the finance of the city runs, and I learned so much things I didn't know before. which really will help me and help the city council members to share this information and this knowledge together to better our city. I want to see the city council and the administration working to improve the flood problem in the south end. Our south end deserve better than every time when it rains. There is a flood, we pay few $1,000s here and there, and we don't solve the problem. There are solutions for that problem if the administration and the council work together. I want to see our roads in better shape. I want to see the water rate less than what it is because we are double the rate of Canton and neighboring cities. I want to see our taxes spent properly. I want to see the restricted funds are in the right place and spent properly. And I want to make sure that our residents do not get overcharged in levies like what happened before on the CSO. There are lots of positive things we can do together if we put our heads together and if we really have a vision for the future of this city, especially.
Sorry, Mr. Zuhair, your 5 minutes are up.
Thank you.
And at this time, we will begin the questioning. You have 2 questions you can ask Mr. Abdelhak. Councilman Muscat, you're first.
Councilman Zohair, how do you feel, what do you think is the most important thing going on in the city today? That's question 1.
I'm going to be very blunt and very honest. Previously, Councilman Muscat, when the new council members got elected, I did ask the mayor to sit with them through Joe Hashem a couple times and to get to know them because I can feel and I can see what's going on and what's coming ahead. But it didn't happen. There is no trust between the council and the administration. And this is costing the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars and costing the city bad image and bad publicity in the newspapers. I think we can work together. I think we can reach something if there is honesty and openness between the administration and the city council. So we have to trust each other.
My second question is, do you support a forensic audit of the city?
Absolutely, Councilman Muscat. My 5 months in the Treasurer Department, I found lots of things which I believe should be audited and should be sent to the Treasury Department of the state. And some of them might be reasonably going to the Attorney General of the state, because my calculation going through the general ledger and looking at some accounts, I still believe there is money was used from restricted fund, was never returned to those restricted fund. And you and I know that one of the restricted account, you personally were told by the mayor that it was used for cash flow, and there is money not returned to specifically the PEG program.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Councilman Constant. Do you have 2 questions for Mr. Abdelhak?
I do, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, you're up.
Zuhair Abdelhak, what is your background, your education, experience, and so forth that would make you a fit person to be appointed to the city council vacancy?
I don't know if you can see my degrees, Wayne State University, Bachelor of Science in Engineering, Electrical Engineering. and diploma, graduate diploma from the University Cairo, American University in Cairo, Egypt, which included accounting, finance, operation, international business, and marketing. And my over 15 and some years, you know me that long, probably from 2003, you and I know each other. And I always attended city council. I served on commissions, and I follow everything happening in our city politically or non-profit or any other ways. And I believe I have excellent relation with the city council, and I had good relation with the mayor until things happen, unfortunately, and we are no longer, on good terms. And I hope that at one point, maybe we will get back the way we were.
My second question is, why should we appoint you? And you are telling us you're living at the Rosemary address. You're not living on Dock Stater in Dearborn. You're living at the Rosemary address.
You are a lawyer, right?
I am.
Okay, your residency, where is it? Isn't it where you sleep at night?
Mr. Abdul Haq, and
Just asking you legal question.
I just want to
Where
know.
I own the house, I pay taxes there, I've been there for 28 years, and I know where you're getting. Okay, I do have 2 kids living in West Dearborn. Listen. I know where you're going with this.
Forget that part
I
of it.
don't
Just
live there.
why
Point
should
of
we
order,
appoint
please.
you?
Point of order, please.
I don't sleep there. I don't live there. Where I sleep, where I live, where I eat, where you visited me many times yourself in my house, in the mayor, in city council member at 354 Rosemary. If you have any problem with my legal residence, I ask you to take it, please, with the clerk or with the state or wherever you want. But I don't want to, comment
Right.
more than that.
I'm
Thank
saying,
you.
why should we appoint you? Just briefly, forget anything about residents. Why should we appoint you?
Why you want to appoint me? You yourself many times, Mr. Constant, came to me for my advice at my store for things happening in the city. You came to my house many times. Beside that, I know so much about the city. I participate in lots of events the city does. I go to lots of meetings. I am very knowledgeable about lots of laws, lots of things. And now with being at the Treasury Department, I have learned so much about the finance of our city, which will help the city council really to make the right decisions for our residents.
All right, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Next, we have Councilman Bazey. You have 2 questions, please. Uh-oh, you're
He's
muted.
muted.
Hold on.
There he goes. I just unmuted him.
Thank you, Council Chair. One of my questions was already answered by Mr. Abdul Haq in his brief introduction, but I do have a question. What has been your level of participation in the city council meetings?
Thank you for the question, Councilman Bazey. I've been attending city council from 2003, 17 consecutive years. And I've been participating in city council. I speak at city council. I read the agendas. I follow up. I file FOIAs. I look for answers, for information to see if things can be done better, if I can help the city council with information which they didn't know about. And I served on the zoning commission for 5 years without any compensation. And I served on the housing commission. And I was privileged to have the honor to serve as the treasurer for 5 months in the city. So all these things which I accumulated over the years put me in a great position to be the best candidate to be on the city council.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have, Councilman Abdullah.
Also here. First of all,
Hi, David.
I'd like to start with, first of all, by thanking just quickly our current treasurer, Lisa Hicks Clayton, for her years of service on the city council. And she did the best she could and did a good job. And I hope whoever the next person is will do just as good of a job. And then also for you, Mr. Abdul Haq, I'd like to thank you for your participation in the city council. It's something that doesn't go unnoticed. I've noticed that for years and years and years. With that being the case, I'm gonna ask the same questions to all the candidates, yours included. Why are you applying for this job right now versus running for office? I realize the job opening is here right now, but obviously in previous years, whether it's you or any of the other candidates could have run and they didn't. Why are you applying for the job right now as opposed to having run before?
Okay. Why I'm applying for it? I have never seen the city in more chaos than it is right now. There is no trust between the city, most of the city council members and the administration. And you guys are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I never really wanted to run for any office before. I just want to participate as a resident and help from outside or criticize from outside without being on city council. First, I didn't have that much time before because of my business, and you know what I do.
Correct.
I have a jewelry business in Dearborn, and that's been successful for the last 24 years. And I believe we are at the point right now, you need serious people at the city council because we are facing serious crisis in our city. And you need people with intelligence, with knowledge, with experience to sit next to you so they can help the city council and they can work as one team to better our city. Now, why I decided to apply for it? Because I see with my experience, my education, my background, I would make the excellent person for this year until next year, you know, the election comes. I don't know if I'm going to run or not. To be honest with you, I didn't make up my mind yet, but I think you need person like me on the city council. Even I didn't run before, but I was involved as much as any one of you. I was involved like every one of you. I read the agenda, I comment on agenda, I attend like you, I spend as much time as you did without compensation or anything, but I enjoy very much, you know, being involved, and I enjoy very much my city, and I enjoy always to debate with my city council members. And even if I didn't run before, I still feel like I am a part of the city council, part of the city, part of the process every single time I walk to the city council.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
The second question I have for you, as I'll have for others, and this is a question I ask when I interview people in my line of work to be hired. And as much as everybody, myself included, would like to think that they have, they do everything perfect or right, the reality is all of us have our challenges. So in your particular case, what do you feel, if we were to select you, would be your challenges being on the city council?
My challenges.
If I may interrupt, I'm sorry. And so I should clarify it, and I'm thinking about it some more. I don't mean what challenges do you see in the city? I mean, for you as an individual, why do you feel you would be challenged with this type of position? Or what challenges would you have that you'd have to overcome?
The challenges which I have to overcome every single time is when I vote on something which comes up in front of me at the city council, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing for the residents, and I'm doing it with the least amount of money spent in the best way possible. And those are the challenges which will make me sleep at ease at night, knowing that the oath I take is really, I am up to it and I done the best I can as a human being.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Can't hear you, Council Chair.
Councilman Wenzel, you're next. I'm
Thank-
sorry, I've got a microphone ordered. Hopefully I'll get it by the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Council Chair. I also would like to thank Lisa Hicks Clayton for her many years of service. She was a great council member. She'll be greatly missed. And she's definitely going to be hard to replace. I have one question, Mr. Abdul Haq. If you could accomplish just one thing in your term as a city council member, what would it be?
Many things, actually, not just one. The first thing is revision of the charter. The charter is too old. There is lots of abuse of the charter. There is no accountability in the charter. That is my first priority. And if I am chosen, the first thing I want to do is basically to put forward the motion to select the 3 people from the city council to form a committee, maybe expanded with some residents, to review the charter, which is over 50 years, 60 years old. And I think the demography of the city, the technology, everything has changed around the world. So my very first priority is revision of the charter.
Okay, thank you. Good answer.
You're welcome.
That's my only question.
My questions have all been pretty much answered, but I'll revise it a little bit. Mr. Abdul Haq, have you ever ran for any public office?
I put the petitions for public office, and I got elected for precinct delegate many times, but like city council or mayor or anything, no, I really never was put forward, but I did help lots of candidates, and I ran campaigns for some candidates, and I always wanted to really help the right people to be in office. And I hope that I did succeed in many years of in political work, that I put some good people and helped them to be in office.
Also, my next question is, and this is important to me because, well, let's add, if you are appointed to the city council vacancy, when do you plan on knowing if you're going to run in the election next year?
I will tell you tomorrow night.
Okay. Would you know before the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to know now?
Yeah.
I would love to run again for the city council in my city, because I'm planning on retiring next, in the next few months. That will give me lots of time to do things. So wish me good luck.
Well, city council, you don't have a lot of extra time by the time you take care of everything.
I know.
Because that's the same thing I said.
I listen, I thank you guys, and I know how much time you put, to read the packet and to make the right decision. And the pay really is pennies on the, pennies per hour.
Okay, next, We're going to call our next candidate. That would be Mr. Mo Baidoon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can somebody unmute him? Mr. Baidoon, you have 5 minutes to tell us about yourself, and then we will each go through and ask you questions.
Thank you so much, Council President. I want to begin by saying Mo Baidoon, 6013 Amboy Street, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, 48127. Before I talk about myself a little bit, I want to congratulate Lisa Hicks Clayton on becoming the treasurer. She did a great job in the city. I hope I can fill those shoes. And also thank you and congratulations to Zuhair Abdulhaq, who has definitely put a lot of dedication. It goes without said. Everybody knows that Zuhair is the man who's at the city council meeting, does all those work. And I thank him for all of his public service. Just a little bit about myself. As many of you guys know, I ran for this position. Just to give you guys a few numbers, during the primary election, from 5th to 4th place was 34 votes. And in the general election, it was a total of 177 votes. But if you divide that by 4, it would necessarily be almost 35 votes amongst of how many votes I've came up short on that. I really contemplated even applying for this position. I know that, this definitely takes a lot of time, but I sat back and I pondered for a second. I told myself during the primary election, I had 181 volunteers at the polls for me, when in reality, I only needed 35 to cover up the precincts between the times that I needed. But there were 181 people that came out and supported me and said, we want to help. I think of the 17 members who worked day in and day out for those 6 months while we went ahead and knocked on doors and did anything we needed to try to win the election. I also ponder of the 303 volunteers over 6 months who helped knock on doors for me. And then I think of the tireless days where I've knocked over 10,000 doors, knocking the south end of Dearborn Heights between me and 2 other volunteers and leaving the remainder volunteers in the north end of Dearborn Heights. So these things really sat with me and they resonated. And I said to myself, it'd be shameful on my end to not go back and apply for this position. Believe it or not, 10 minutes before this, I said, I'm not going to do it. Somebody sent me a message and said, I think it's important that you do. And I said, you're right. So here I am, a small business owner of 2 businesses in Dearborn Heights. First one was to be a small local thing that I did there in the month of Ramadan, Heights Hot Dogs, a very successful business. Recently, I became a mortgage loan originator, opened up and with partners here in the city of Dearborn Heights, right off of Ford Road, Clover Mortgage. And if you guys are looking for any of that, that's what I've went ahead and invested into the city of Dearborn Heights. But most importantly to me is that the dynamics of the city is definitely changing. Being at 30 years old, I can tell you I have several friends that are moving into the city, moving into like these homes right behind Target, and not really feeling that they have a representation that sits on council. And not to say that the council is not doing their part to getting to know the millennials, but there are a lot of millennials that kind of just feel that they don't have that representation. I like to believe that I bring that over to the city today. But most importantly, respecting our first responders and everybody that have served this city. I know that any decision that I make is going to be for the residents of the city of Dearborn Heights. And I know that anyone that applied for this position, from Zuhair to Nancy, and I believe the young man, William, I know will do the same as well. I may not have attended as many city council meetings, but I can tell you with my 12 year of experience on volunteering, working on different campaigns, being, involved with, for example, the Almighty Foundation, or being involved with the Wayne County Sheriff's Police Reserves, I understand the significance that, the decisions that the city council make. I definitely want to go ahead and serve. I hope that you guys can find it in you to see that I'm somebody that ran in the past and that is going to be on the ballot on 2021. So I also believe that in this next year, I can look and see, okay, perfect. This is what I've accomplished in the last year. This is what we need to move forward in the next 4 years. And I can also say openly, my stance on the city council is going to be what is best for the residents, and that is all. I am not aligned or tied to anything but the residents. As I said in the past, as I will say in the future, that's the most important thing to me. And that's why I'm running for this position. As I said it once before, I'll say it again. It'd be shameful for me to not have applied for this position. And just wanting everybody to understand that I'm a strong believer of this of the diversity, also seeing the dynamics of leadership if we want to unite our city and the residents. I actually wrote down a great quote to end you guys with. A community is a group of people who agree to work together. And that's what I'd like to bring over here to the city council.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, we will start again with Councilman Muscat. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mo Beydoun. It's a pleasure to see you here today and listening to your bios. Very interesting. I'm going to ask you the same questions as all the other council people applying for this position. Number one, what's the most important problem going on in the city, in your opinion, today?
Thank you so much, Mr. Muscat. I appreciate that. Great to see you as well. I can first and foremost say, I know that there's a lot of money that is going around. I know about the forensic audit. I know that the council and the residents also feel that they want to be at ease. And I feel that bringing that and finally just settling what needs to be settled, whether it's finishing up this forensic audit or if it is finding the common grounds that, hey, do we need this common ground? Do we need to have this forensic audit? I think the most important thing right here is to settle that, allowing us to move forward and figure out any other issues that need to go on.
Okay, the second question, I guess you answered it also with that. Are you for a forensic audit or not?
If this is what the residents want and it is best for the residents, then it's most definitely recommended.
Thank you. And good luck.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muscat.
Next, we have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mo Beydoun, thank you for applying for the vacancy. Could you tell us about your background, your education, how long you've been in Dearborn Heights, and your involvement in the community and how that fits for this position?
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Constant. I'd like to let you know that I've been with the Wayne County Sheriff's Reserves Police Department for 8 years, meaning I serve all of Wayne County wherever requested. I've lived in the city of Dearborn Heights since 1995, maybe not as long as Mr. Zohair, but I could tell you I've been deeply rooted both in the city of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights. My actual volunteer started off of Irma Clark, who ran for judge, I believe, and I canvassed for her, I want to say maybe in the 6th grade. And from then I said, you know what, I enjoy this, I love this, volunteered in several different campaigns, have a background with psychology with a master's of public administration. I also get involved with a lot of nonprofit organizations, feeding the needy. And believe it or not, I don't do, I may not be as involved on the city council side by attending meetings. As we know, it does take up much of our times, but I can tell you to this very day, I've spoken to every single council member in the last 4 years or 3.5 years. Anytime a resident has an issue, I reach out to the council and I try to help reconcile that issue for the resident themselves. So my involvement, my approach, I've been here. I'm a familiar face, as many of us here are. And that's about that.
Thank you. And why should we appoint you? Why do yourself, your education, your age, your business ownership of a business in Dearborn Heights, why should we appoint you to this council vacancy?
Thank you so much. And you know what? I think it goes back to, I know Denise asked the question, who she said she's going to go ahead and ask me on it, but I think it comes back to what I said in my introduction. I plan on running in 2021. I plan on being on the ballot. I announced that when I first came up short, but also because looking back at the 3,800 voters who went out and voted for me, which I have the numbers, if any of the council members would like to see that, on election day, without the absentee votes, on the actual election day, I was in first place. The absentee ballots, which I showed up shy on, where I didn't work as hard on because I was canvassing so much, is what really kind of brought me down towards that. And I think with the name recognition, being on council, helping me get there and knowing what I want to do is all for the residents. So thank you for that, Mr. Constant.
Thank you.
Have Councilman Bazey.
Thank you, Council Chair. Thank you, Mr. Beydoun, for being here today and applying for this position. We appreciate it. I have two questions. The first one is, what has been your level of participation in our city council meetings? I guess the first one.
Thank you so much for that. And I can tell you, not as involved as I would like to be, being that I've recently been married to my beautiful wife, Lila, being a new homeowner in the city of Dearborn Heights, renovating my home. I could tell you, opening up a new business in the city of Dearborn Heights, I have not been as involved, but I know that during the crucial meetings, during the very, very most important meetings, which I believe all of them are, but ones where I knew that decisions were going to really impact our community, I'd like to believe I've been involved. But as much as I wanted to, there comes times where, being at 30 years old, like I stated, I have not been as involved, but I look to here and moving forward.
Thank you. Second question is, what has been your knowledge and your participation in key issues that the city council is currently addressing?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. What has been your knowledge and participation in key issues that the city council is currently addressing?
So I am very, I can tell you it's been very vague. Knowing that the city council right now is, dealing with these audits. I understand that the city council is looking to appoint a new attorney. I can tell you that the city is facing many challenges every single day. So to really measure which one is the greatest of all, I probably couldn't put that on a scale for you, but I can tell you any issue that's brought that affects the residents is an extremely important issue to me. But I believe also that this audit is something that many of which that I've spoken to want to see this moving, either putting an end to it or finishing it off. So if that's what the residents, whichever the residents want to do, I think that's the most important issue that we need to focus on and starting out.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate the questions.
Thank you.
Councilman Abdullah next.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Bidun, how are you?
Hey, Ms. Council, how are you doing, Mr. Abdullah?
Good. I've got two questions for you. So the first one, I have to reverse it because I know you did apply at one point for the position. So I'm going to reverse it a little bit. At the time you applied, at the time you ran, take that back. At the time you ran for the position of city council, I think it was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. What was it that motivated you to run, and why are you applying now again?
Thank you so much for a great question.
What is it about this position that attracts you, basically? And again, you ran before and you're applying now. What is it that's making you attracted to this position?
I appreciate that. I really do, Mr. Councilman Abdullah. I can tell you, like I stated also in my introduction, I was in 6th grade. I routed up all my friends and I said, Irma Clark is running for judge. I had no idea who Irma Clark was, but I was in 6th grade and we were told that we were going to get paid $121. At the time in 6th grade, $121 goes a long way. Maybe some Game Boys, whatever it was that we were able to buy. So I routed up maybe about 15 of our friends. And, we went in and I believe they gave us a bunch of forms and we went door to door and we canvassed for Irma Clark for this entire day. And they gave us $121. When first applying for this position, I thought, well, when I first went out to knock on doors, I said, I'm going to make $120. This is amazing. By the end of the time of finishing canvassing that entire day, I went back and said, that was so incredibly fun for many reasons. One, I got to know different residents. Secondly, I was learning as an experience at such a young age. And thirdly, as I continued to get older, I started joining organizations like Key Club Kiwanis and Students Against Destructive Decisions in high school. And then going over and starting the largest student organization at Wayne State called the Lebanese Student Association, which was actually apolitical, meaning no political involvement, but it was more of a charity thing. And as I continued to do that, it continued to kind of flame from inside saying that, you know what, this is something that I want to do. So I ran for that position because I genuinely love it. And I think anybody that's applying right now, from Zuhair to Nancy to William, I think everybody really enjoys giving back to their residents in their community. So that's my main reason.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question I have for you, and again, I want to clarify, not what challenges does the city council have, because we do have our challenges. What challenges do you think you will have if you were to become a council member being on the council? What do you think are your weaknesses, and what attributes are you going to bring to the table to try to delve with those weaknesses that you may have or challenges?
Hey, thank you so much. And that's a great question. And I won't shy away from it. I'm not going to tell you guys that I'm the most knowledgeable person coming here onto the city council. I definitely do not have that. I am not the most knowledgeable on regarding the issues that most of the council members are dealing with today. I wouldn't look you guys and say, I know everything. Let me get on here and let me be the one who's going to fix all these issues. No, then my biggest one is going to be, I may not be as unknowledgeable, but what I can tell you is I'm a quick learner. I'm going to sit on this council. I'm going to learn, and what it best fulfills the residents and the constituents of Dearborn Heights is the route that I'm going to go. But my biggest challenge will be is I am not as knowledgeable on many of the issues that are going on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman Abdullah, for those questions.
Councilman Wenzel, it's your turn.
Thank you, Council Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, okay, good. First of all, I'd like to commend Mo Beydoun for his campaign he ran in 2017. It was a great campaign. Got a lot of support, a lot of volunteers. Did a good job. My question for you, Mo, is what makes you unique over the other candidates?
You know, that's a great question. I don't like to, you know, I can't put myself on a pedestal thinking that I am better than anybody that's applying for this. I think everybody here is unique in their own way. But I think knowing that I've ran in the past, I've got a lot of the name recognition. I hope to sit on this council, take on the things that I once said that I was going to do. And if you'd like me, I'd read those to you. And it says the 5 things are to rejuvenate our programs and services for our seniors, improving city services while enhancing public safety, maintaining fiscal responsibility and budgets, cutting red tapes to encourage businesses and job growth, and revitalizing our parks and recreation opportunity for our youth, and restoring trust and transparency in our local government. So those are things that I've always said since 2017 when I ran that I'd like to push and bring towards the council. I think, but the most important thing here is that I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm more aligned with the residents. I'm coming on here and saying, you know, hey, you know, I'm bringing a lot of professionalism by saying I want what's best for just the residents.
All right, thank you.
And I hope that answered your question, Tom. Not sure if I did.
Yeah, I did. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you.
My question is, well, we know, but have you ever ran for public office before?
Well, yes, I ran in 2017. I can go through those numbers for you, but I will tell you, which I left out, I've recently been appointed to the Cultural Relations Commission, you know, to just kind of strengthen our diversity with us, with a lot of the residents and a lot of things that are going around in the world. So as I was recently appointed, you know, by the mayor, I was also appointed by the members to be the vice president of the Cultural Relations Commission. Very quick step. And I believe it was just a lot of my, you know, being very active, my activism, and just kind of understanding that, hey, you know what, this is extremely important to me. And for your second question, because I wrote down, I plan on running in 2021. Yes, absolutely, I do.
Yeah, I remember when you ran because you were number 1 for about 3 hours there on election night. And people were looking at me saying, aren't you upset that you're number 4 and he's number 1? And I said, no, I'm glad to just be in the top 4. And then all of a sudden the absentee ballots were downloaded and you flipped to number 5 and lost by just a few votes.
Hey,
So yeah,
and you
I
know
remember
what?
that night very well because everybody was razzing me. He's going to be number 1. I says, that's fine with me, you know.
And you know what? I think a lot of us, a lot of the volunteers, a lot of them are my campaign felt the same way. But most importantly, I'm glad for everybody that got on council because, you know, I plan and God is up the best planners. Unfortunately, I did not win that time. I'm going to continue to push because that's what I believe in my heart and for the residents. But I can tell you though, Council Chair, I knocked the South End, the entire South End in the primary election and in the general election. And one of the reasons I continue to kind of emphasize on that is that I wanted to, you know, I kept hearing in the back is that, you know, that a lot of these North Enders are running and they're neglecting the South End. So I made it very important to listen to all these issues of the South End. And I tell you, these issues still resonate with me today. So knowing that, you know, the flood issue is still consistently happening to these residents, it's something that I definitely want to tackle as soon as getting on, if I'm appointed by our honorable council members.
Time. Next, we will move on to Miss Nancy Breyer.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the entire council.
Thank you.
She's muted.
Am I available now?
Yes, you are. Go ahead, please. Give us 5 minutes about yourself and then we'll ask questions.
Okay, well, first I'd like us all to remember what Tom alluded to, that 79 years ago today, we had Pearl Harbor. It took my father to England, Italy, and North Africa. I first met him when I was 18 months old in Oklahoma City. The picture of a young girl clinging to her mother because she didn't know who that man in the uniform was. It made the Flint Journal's front page. All right, now let's get on to the things that you've asked we talk about. I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to present my case and reasons for wanting this appointment. My parents, Robert and Genevieve Woods, have lived at 25459 Colgate since Dad came home from the service. And my page is stuck together here. He was in the Army Air Corps in World War II. They bought the house in 1946, and they were the second owners. Both of them were very active in the community. Dad was commander of VFW Post 9943. He ushered at St. John's Catholic Church, president of Senior Citizens Club at Eaton Center. And he served on Robichaud School Board for 8 years. He attended most city council meetings and he was on the Tifa board. My mother was chosen by Mayor Van Houten to be the first city representative to go to Lansing, representing the seniors for Dearborn Heights on the advisory commission. She planned trips for their senior center and also helped that arrangement with the church, St. John's. She collected door to door for charities. Both worked the elections as I do now. I want to follow in their footsteps. It's become a family tradition. And let's see, I worked at Montgomery Ward's in Dearborn while in high school. Had a sweet job. I worked at the candy counter and I cooked hot dogs. The bad part was cooking the hot dogs and not getting your hands burned by the steam. That I learned right away. In my senior year, I worked in the office for Mr. McGuire, the administrative assistant. I did something terribly wrong there. I was typing up something. I was running out of space. I abbreviated assistant ASS, which made him the administrative you-know-what. He came to me and he said, do you mean this? And I said, oh, I should have used a period if it didn't fit. And then Mr. Robichaud, the superintendent, I did shorthand for him. I waited on students and teachers at the counter, did switchboard and dictation. One of the advantages to that position in my senior year was that the coaches were really nice. They knew I liked sports. They got me tickets to events. So, and let's see, my first big job was at General Motors as a teletype operator. Then I moved closer to home and worked the same thing at Ford Motor. I was married in '63 and I left for my husband's first job in San Diego, California. We had a daughter in '64. We moved back to Michigan in October of '65 to Whitmore Lake when he got a job in Ann Arbor at Bendix. I've done the door-to-door collecting for charities, census work, and help with political campaigns. In fact, I canvassed precinct 19 by myself in 2017. And I've also made calls for leadership of Michigan, most recently our president-elect. I've been active in Girl Scouting for 20 years, mostly as an adult. First as a cookie lady for the Daughters Brownie Troop, and we sold the most cookies, about 1,000 boxes, she and I. Then I became a junior scout leader. Next, I was a troop organizer and consultant, and finally as cadet leader. And in that capacity, I was chosen to lead 62 people with girls from 5 different cities to Mackinac Island, which previously just boys had done. We were there for 1 week, and we raised the flags, we visited the cemetery, we assisted visitors with where things were located. I also chaperoned trips for the Cherry Hill High School to Washington DC and Barnum and Bailey for the school band. And well, let's see, I'm missing something here. I suddenly jump into another location. All right, and then I went on to the other things as a grown-up. You're going to ask me what I've run for, so I'll save that part. While working at Boeing, when I was in Washington State, I went there, kind of followed my daughter. I had a market research job, and they sent me there to run the door-to-door interviewing and hiring and firing people. And then from there, while in Washington State, I was there for 18 years. And I went to work at Boeing, was my big job, with the lead department, LEAD, which stands for Learning, Education, and Development. I was chosen to represent our department for almost 2 weeks in St. Louis, Missouri, where we role played with the upper management of the company at the Leadership Center. I finished my associate's degree in criminal justice paralegal at Tacoma, Washington, at the Tacoma Community College in 2005. Most of my jobs involved customer service, secretarial, sales, or answering phones. At the call center, I became a problem solver. I moved back to Michigan in 2009. My youngest brother called and said, Daddy wanted me to come home to help with mother. So I quit the job.
You've gone over your 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just wanted to try and find a polite break in there. At this time, we
I did
will
a
open
lot.
it. Yes, you did. At this time, I'd like to open it up to questions from the council members. Councilman Muscat, you're first.
Thank you, Nancy Breyer, for applying for the position. Same question as before. What do you think is the most important problem going on in the city today? And the second one, do you support a forensic audit?
Well, it's a toss-up. Our charter needs fixing, but I do think the audit needs the first attention, and I do support that.
Thank you.
Next, we have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Nancy Woods Breyer, thank you for applying. Can you tell us your background, education, years in the city of Dearborn Heights, where you went to high school and so forth? Just tell us your background and how that.
Okay, I've lived in the house I'm now back in since 1946 until I got married in 63. And then we lived in Taylor in a mobile home, which we then took to California for his first job in San Diego. We brought it back to Whitmore Lake for his next job at Bendix. And I went to what was then Inkster Roosevelt, is now Robichaud. I do serve on the RHS, well, let's see, what do we call it? It's a reunion committee, and we do that yearly. Committee. Yes, and while in Washington, I was a precinct delegate for the 2008 presidential, and I also, well, I'll save that one too. Yeah, I think. What else did you want there, Bob?
Just your background, education, years in the city, your family's involvement with the city. You answered most of it.
That part. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Your degree?
Yes. Well, I graduated high school and I finished college when I was in Washington State. I have the associate's degree in criminal justice and paralegal. I did an internship with that while in Washington. And I've been very active in the community. And I think I have a list of those things here, which I'll probably hit you on the tail in my last 2 minutes.
And then why would you make a good appointee for the city council?
Well, I've spent a lot of time here. My parents have, and I've even kept in touch when I was out of state. And I do come to a lot of the council meetings. I'm very active in city activities. And I believe I could kind of calm down the atmosphere that we currently have amongst the council members.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Councilman Bazey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Breyer, for applying for this position, and also for being here today. I'm going to ask the same two questions. What has been your level of participation in the city council meetings?
I've been representing the neighborhood association that formerly was called the Southwest Dearborn Heights Neighborhood Association. It is now properly called the South Dearborn Heights Civic Association. It encompasses a bigger territory. And I also ask questions while there. I take notes, and I do keep active with that.
Thank you. Second question is what has been your knowledge and participation in key issues that the city council is currently addressing?
I am on two committees that I was appointed to, and that would be the Women's Commission and the Van Buren Corridor. Now, those have kind of taken a back seat with what's going on now, but I do keep abreast of what you're saying and doing, and what I hear from the people as to how we feel about what's being discussed now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, Councilman Abdullah.
Hello, Ms. Breyer. Thank you for applying for the position. I have two questions for you. Obviously, you're applying right now. I have a question for you as to why you did not decide, being that this is a position that would be attractive to you, why did you decide to not run in the past? What was your thinking behind that?
Well, I assisted other people running in the past. I didn't think I was quite ready at that time. And now I feel it's appropriate to replace a woman with another woman, and to have that viewpoint present on the council.
Okay, great. And the second question is, what challenges, not on the council, because again, I'll repeat, we do have our challenges as a council, but what challenges do you feel that you would have if you were to be elected for this position?
I don't think there would be many, to be truthful, because like you, I have a background in negotiation, 36 years in real estate. So I'm not unfamiliar with working things out with people.
I see. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Wenzel, you're next.
Okay, let's see. Okay, good. I'm good to go. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for coming out tonight and applying for this position. It's out of all the thousands of people in the city, we only had 4. So that says something right there about the 4 of your characters of the 4 of you. My first question is, if you could just do one thing on city council and accomplish it, what would it be?
I do think we've got to work on that charter, and I think I would be helpful in working on a committee such as that.
Okay. Okay. And can you just describe to us or give us a list of activities you've been involved in or organized in the city of Dearborn Heights?
Yes, let's see. Let me get out my little sheet here. Okay. I'm currently the president since 2017 of the South Dearborn Heights Civic Association. And I've helped out at the Ecorse Creek cleanup for 3 of your last 4 years with you and others. And I've been appointed to both the Van Buren Corridor and the Women's Commission by the mayor. I attend most council meetings, and I also am chairperson for Precinct 21 as election inspector and have been for some time. I've delivered Meals on Wheels from the Eaton Senior Center.
Oh, good. Pretty busy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Nancy. I'm going to ask you some questions now.
Sure.
Have you ever ran for public office? And if so, what office did you run for?
Yes, I have. Back when my children were in high school and they were debating whether to close the junior high or not, which would have meant 5th graders had to go in with older kids, and it would have affected both my children, I ran for the school board for Cherry Hill District. Had the kids voted, I think I would have won. And then in the early 80s, oh, wait a minute, the late 80s, I ran for trustee in Redford Township. I didn't plan early enough to do that. I started in May, but I did finish 4th and they hired 3 people. I did beat out an attorney and a very popular lady in the city, however.
Now, if you are appointed to the council vacancy, do you plan on running in the next election for that?
Yes, I do plan on next November 21 through 22, well, through 23.
At this time, we will move on to our next candidate. That would be Mr. William Zarenko. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Can we unmute him, please? Go ahead, please.
May I share my screen with you guys?
Yes, and you do have 5 minutes. So I just want to remind you.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Disabled the sheet
I
screen.
think we have to make him a host or co-host.
Hold on a minute. Let me make you a host so you can do that. Okay, now you should be able to. There you go.
All right. My name is William Zarenko. I go by my middle name, Toby, so feel free to call me that. About me, I have roots in the western suburbs. I was born in Westland. I graduated from Livonia Franklin High School. After I graduated high school, I went to Eastern Michigan University, where I earned a bachelor's degree in history and political science with a minor in historic preservation and a master's degree in history. I also met my wife there, and after we both graduated with our master's degrees, I followed her to Lafayette, Indiana, where she started her career. And incidentally, I was also able to start my career there. I got a job at the Tippecanoe County Public Library, and that's where I fell in love with libraries and public service. We came back from Lafayette after a year and a half. We lived in Westland, Canton, and then in 2018, we decided to buy our first home. And so when we were looking, we zeroed in on Dearborn Heights as the place to live. Our relationship with the city is such, we chose Dearborn Heights because of its location as an inner ring suburb. It's a bedroom community, so a lot of people live here, not a lot of people work here, and that was perfect for us. I commute to Ann Arbor, and my wife works at Wayne State in Detroit. We were impressed by the city services, the low property taxes, and we immediately used the house buying experience as an opportunity to invest in ourselves and in the city. We spent the first 6 months renovating our home, including a full kitchen remodel. I sanded and redid all the wood floors, all that good stuff, so we could get nice and comfortable in the city. My qualifications for this position are as follows. I have over 8 years of public service experience. Most of my work in libraries fits under the following 2 categories. That's identifying problems and finding solutions, and adding value to the community. So I do a lot of public programming, things like that. And when the pandemic hit in March, we had to shift gears radically. And so over the course of the year, my programming has gone from in-person to the library's YouTube channel, and I've learned to work very, very, very independently with myself. I've done 2 very unique things this year. I'll show you a couple pictures. So I host a Saturday morning kids variety show on our YouTube channel called The Saturday Show. That's the picture on the left. That's my co-host Otto Turtle. And then I also did a presentation of a year of football, or a season of football, that I simulated on a video game. And all of this was to provide things for people to do at the beginning of the pandemic, where things were super uncertain, people didn't know what to do. We as a library wanted to provide the community with something that would keep them grounded and interested in the library, and also justify the sizable budget that we get each year. You know, if people can't come up, pick up books, we've got to have something that we can do. I have leadership experience. For over a year, I was a co-president of the Ann Arbor District Library Staff Associates Union. I have experience bargaining a contract, and I will brag that out of the 30 members that were eligible to join the union in this right to work state, we had full membership, paying dues from all 30 people. I've also had leadership at work, training individuals as they come in. The unprecedented offering is my programming Saturday show, that kind of thing. But all in all, my goal in all of this is to add value to the community. I have a few points about my philosophy about city government. The government is here and it is by the people and it's here to serve them. So I believe that transparency and responsibility, fiscal responsibility, fiduciary responsibility are paramount to the task of the council and the city government. Transparency as well as addressing the needs of the people of the city of Dearborn Heights. A couple notes. I heard it mentioned before, the future of the city. I believe that Dearborn Heights can be a 21st century suburb. We have to continue doing the things right that are going right, but I also believe that attracting young professionals and families is very important in growing the tax base. But not only do we want to attract them, we want to retain them as residents. And I think we can do so by improving schools, providing more small business opportunities. There are not a ton of corporations in Dearborn Heights just because of the way the city is laid out, not a lot of big companies. And so I think taking advantage of the places where small businesses can operate successfully could be a hallmark of the city. And that would contribute to economic and physical development. And that's my presentation. That's me. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will go ahead and we will start with questioning. First, we have Councilman Muscat.
Well, I thank you, Mr. Zarenko. That was a great presentation. Thank you. And same questions as before. What do you think is the most problem going on in the city today? And do you support a forensic audit?
Well, in speaking to neighbors and other people that live in the city, yeah, the audit is number one on everybody's mind when it comes to actually talking about city government. So I'd identify that as the problem, and I am definitely for it. See the transparency point in the presentation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Toby, for applying and very good presentation. The PowerPoint was very good. Can you tell us about your background, your education, and so forth, and how that makes you a good applicant for the vacancy?
Yeah, so my education, history and political science, right? I've done the book learning, right? I've written, I've read, all that kind of stuff. So I understand from a historical point of view, how politics can be a force for positive or negative change in people's lives. Now, knowing that is not the same as practical experience, but I believe that my practical experience serving the public through libraries is directly translatable to this position, insofar as, you know, there's 55,000 people that live here, and every single one of them are going to want something. It could be something the same, something different, but identifying those needs and addressing them in a tangible way is something that I can do. I feel very easy, comfortable talking to people, sussing out things that they would like to see done. And so I think those two things combined, the theoretical and practical experience is what would what gives me the things that are needed to do this job.
Great, thank you. And why should we appoint you? Why will you make a good city council member? You actually have a degree, you don't have any agenda. Could you tell us why we should appoint you to the vacancy?
Well, I think that's a good point that you made right there, is that I have an outsider's perspective. I've only lived in Dearborn Heights since 2018. We bought our house here in April of 2018. And I've paid attention to the things that have gone on government-wise, but I think I have an outside perspective. I'm not beholden to any one group or person. And I think that my willingness to make this city move forward in a positive direction will inform a lot of the decisions that I make. And not to mention the fact that, like I said, this is a position that is here to serve the residents of the city. And so finding out what they need, engaging with them publicly is also something that I can do. And that's why I'm asking, applying here. That's why I'm making my case.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Councilman Bazey?
Thank you, Council Chair. And thank you, Mr. Zarenko, for applying for this position, and thank you for being here today. I have the same two questions. What has been your level of participation in the city council meetings?
I haven't had any in-person. I've not attended an in-person one, but I do pay attention to local news sources as well as read the agendas on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you. Second question, what has been your knowledge and participation in key issues that the city council is currently addressing?
I don't have any direct contact with anyone about these current issues. When the opportunity does arise, like there was a town hall about the flooding and the Army Corps of Engineers plan at Annapolis High School, I attended that, participated in that. So when the issues, when there's something that I can do to attend and be present for, then I'm going to go ahead and do it. But that's my proximity to the issues.
Thank you, Mr. Zarenko. Appreciate it.
Stella?
Hello, Mr. Zarenko, and thank you for applying and being here today. Two of the same questions I've had in the past for past applicants. Why are you applying for the job now as opposed to have run for office? Now, I know you said you had been in the city for the last two and a half years. So why is it that you decided to apply for the job right now versus actually running for office and have the residents select?
Well, in 2019, I did grab the forms and the paperwork, and I did start collecting signatures. But that year got quite hectic. We were planning a wedding, things like that. And so I had to put it on the back burner. And this is the first opportunity that has come up since then. So that's why I'm applying now.
Okay, great. And what challenges do you personally see yourself as having, not on the council itself, yourself personally? What challenges do you think you will have if you were elected to the city council?
I think just integrating myself with the people that are already on council, building those relationships to be able to know what the council's idea is going forward on issues. But I think just getting integrated with this group here.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Councilman Wenzel.
Well, hello, neighbor.
Hi.
Well, thanks for applying for this position.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Stop by and say hi next time you're walking by.
Will do.
Hey, a couple of things is, what makes you a unique candidate for this position?
I think I mentioned that already. I think it's really the outsider perspective. And I don't mean to play that up as far as I know things different than you guys, or I, know better than you guys, but I have 2 years of experience knowing what's going on in the city, learning what's going on in the city, learning the issues that are affecting the city. And that's why I'm here, is that we bought this house, we're invested in this community, and bringing a different perspective to the city council hopefully can, we can work towards consensus going forward, work together, those kinds of things. Those are all things that I'm willing to do to be able to move the city forward. And I think that's another big thing. I think out of all the candidates, I've got a bigger picture view of what's going on here and what I'd like the city to be. And I think starting from that position and then narrowing down to the small accomplishable goals, to move in that direction is also something that is unique among the candidates. Thank you.
Now you probably know the question by now. We've been through enough of these. Have you ever ran for public office?
Not officially, except for the exploratory and gathering signatures in 2019.
If you are appointed to the council vacancy, do you plan on running in the election next year?
One of my favorite terms is in for a penny, in for a pound. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
At this time,
Thank
we
you.
are not finished. I want the candidates to stick around. I'm going to give everybody an option of a 2-minute closing statement. And I will go back in the order that we started out. We have Mr. Abdul Haq. You have 2 minutes, and then I will stop you. So everybody
Okay.
try and be aware of your time. If you want, I can signal at 1 minute if you want me
You
to.
can signal. Yes, please.
Okay, that way I
Okay.
kind of give you a judgment where you're at. Go ahead, sir.
First, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my credentials and present myself. And I thank you again for trusting me to be the treasurer for 5 months of the city. And again, I am resident of the city. I love the city. My kids, my brothers, my sisters live in the city. We invested lifetime in this city. My kids graduated from Crestwood School, and I chaired the bond committee, which brought $35 million to Crestwood School after 49 years of failing. And I worked with terrific people, including Dave Abdallah and David Kanizik, Lisa Hicks Clayton, and Ray, and around 200 people. I can bring people together. I can reach compromise, and always I will have the benefit of the residents, because I am one of the residents, always in my mind, and I will make the best decision in my capability to better my city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Mr. Baidoon. Can we unmute him, please? And sir, you have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. And to this entire council, I appreciate you guys. Just want to leave you guys with just some closing remarks. I deeply want you guys to know I'm deeply rooted into the city. I love this city. I appreciate all you guys and all the questions that were being asked over here. One last thing that I just kind of want to bring out. I'd like to see more civic duty from the youth and from these millennials and from a lot more of our residents. And I believe I'd like to, really bring that here to our council. I'm thankful, and just keep in mind, I'm a hometown guy. Elementary school, middle school, high school. This is where I reside. This is where my family's going to reside. When Layla and I were looking for a home and to renovate and, start a family, I said, Dearborn Heights, have no other thoughts. You look in Dearborn Heights, you find Dearborn Heights, we live in Dearborn Heights. And that's where I'm going to live. This is where I'm going to serve. And if not appointed, you'll see me on 2021. And if not in 2021, you'll see me in 2025. And that's, I'm not going anywhere. So, hey, listen, I'm going to be a thorn in all you guys and letting you guys know I'm always going to be here. And I appreciate you and thank you all.
Next, we have Ms. Breyer. Can we?
Yes,
Oh, you're unmuted. Go
I'm
ahead.
ready. I feel that one life or person can make the difference, and I intend to be that person. I have the power and courage to do the right things for the community. My goal is to bring good manners back to our council meetings, make this one big city, not just the north or south ends. I would also like to see the city offices open 5 days a week and give all support possible to our excellent police and fire departments. I'd like to create a greater tax base. Dave and I have the real estate background I was in for 36 years. Another thing that should happen is for the city to get a grant writer like Kim does for Parks and Recreation. I also would like to give a shout out to Brian and Kim and Parks and Recreation for the many things that they do for the senior citizens. And my final thought, I hope to be a liaison between the seniors and city council, and who better to do this than another senior? And thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you. Okay, and next we have Mr. Zarenko. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I first just want to thank everybody for this opportunity and to be here this evening. This is an interesting election. This is going to be decided by the city council to fill this 1-year position. And so they're going to have to decide, you are going to have to decide what commitment you're going to make to the city going forward with your choice today. Not everything can be changed within a year, but I believe that if you appointed me to the city council, to this vacant position, that we can make an impact over the next year going forward to move in a positive direction, to resolve some of the issues that are weighing heavily on the minds of the citizens, and to make the city the best it has ever been. So thank you.
Very much. At this time, we will open it to public comment. Please raise your hand. You have 3 minutes and state your name and city and county, I guess we have to do now. Is there any public comment? I don't think I'm seeing any. Does clerk? Okay, at this time, oh, we have a Galaxy Tab A.
I'll
Unmute
call.
yourself, Mr. Sir.
Gary Barkov.
Oh, Mr. Barkov, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize. The pictures are so small on here. We need you to unmute yourself.
Oops, there he goes.
There you go. You have 3 minutes and name, city, county, state.
My name is Gary Barkoff. 5615 Academy Street in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, 48125, Wayne County. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I listened to all 4 candidates. I think you guys are going to have a tough, they sounded all good. But I do have a favorite. Mo Beydoun, I think would be, he ran last time. I think, and he just missed it. I really think you guys should give him a chance. His integrity, he's honest. He just, to me, would be the perfect candidate. I think he would fit in real well. He believes in democracy. I'm on the cultural committee with him for the city. And he really comes up with a lot of, we've met for about 4 or 5 months now, and he really comes up with a lot of good things. So I really hope you guys would consider Mo Beydoun to fill that seat for a year. And like he said, he is going to run next year. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Next, we have Treasurer Hicks Clayton. We need to unmute you.
I'm trying to unmute. Oh, there I am. Hello. Yeah, I was trying to unmute, and I think you were trying to unmute me. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we need your name,
Okay,
city,
my name is,
county, state.
yep, my name is Lisa Hicks Clayton. I am the treasurer, and I'm in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, which is Wayne County, Michigan. And thank you, Madam Chair and honorable council members. You know, I do appreciate everyone's very kind words. I want to thank everyone for that, council members, as well as the candidates you're considering this evening. Just what I want to share with you is, you know, 9 years on council and working with everyone, you know, this is a really important time in our city's history. And you have some really great candidates. I'm very pleased with the candidates you have before you. I, you know, do want to, you know, encourage you that you have a lot going on, and certainly any of these candidates would be great. I want to wish whoever you pick the very best. For those that, you know, the 3 that aren't picked this evening, of course, encourage you to run and stay engaged. There is an election next year, but I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who did apply, and good luck. Thank you.
Next, we have Leslie Windless. She must have.
Hello, can you hear me?
There you are.
Hi, my name is Leslie Winless. I live at 23469 Annapolis Street in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, 48125, so that's Wayne County. I just was coming to make a public comment in support of Mo Beydoun. for the appointed position. I did want to say that I wasn't expecting all the candidates to be awesome. You guys did an awesome job, but I know Mo the most just from the community and being on the same commission as him, and so I vouch for him. Oh, I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to make comments? Before we end the meeting, yes, this is going to be a difficult decision. We have a lot of good candidates, a lot of good people applied. And also too, I didn't get a chance earlier to thank former councilman, current treasurer, Lisa Hicks Clayton, for her service and all the advice she's given me over the time she was on council with me. She's helped a lot and I do appreciate it. At this time, I will ask one last time, is there any comments? Okay.
All great applicants.
All great. So at this time, I'd like to end the meeting.
Move to close the meeting?
Go ahead. Councilman Muscat moves to
Support.
close it. Support by Councilman Odella. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Can't
Good
hear
night,
you.
everybody.
Okay, you're good to
Meeting
go.
is adjourned. Everyone have a good night and hopefully I will have a microphone by the next meeting.
Yeah, that's tomorrow though.
Oh, shoot.
Headphone.
All right. We'll see
Thank
what we can do because
Okay.
there is one ordered. It may not be in yet.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, we gotta stop the recording.